Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to read class 7 SST part history, chapter number 1, that is when, where, and how, part 3rd. So, in the last two videos, I had explained that the division of history as well as the sources that help us to know about the history. So in that I had explained about the archaeological sources as well as the literary sources and the subdivision that is found in the literary and archaeological sources. Now in this video we'll read about the importance of geography in the history. So basically, how does the geography help us to know about our history? Let us see. Geography played a vital role for knowing the Indian history. So it's like the history is only not regarded with the history of mankind, also the history of environment. It means that the history that we have studied, it's not only related to the human being, it is also related to our environment in the past time. So basically for that we have to, first of all we have to go through the geographical features that we found in India and their impact for the peoples, those who are living in those areas, that help us to know about how the geography help them to settle. Now let us start. In India, there are three major physiographical divisions that played an important role in the history of Indian subcontinent. So what are these physiographical divisions? So these are Himalayan uplands, the Indo-Gangetic plains, and the Peninsula India. So basically we have to read all those things in detail. Though you have studied in the class 6, we'll go for the recall of these things in the next slide. Let us start with the Himalayan uplands. So Himalayan uplands is what? The area that is found near the Himalaya, that is the Himalayan upland. So basically the Himalayan upland consists of lofty mountain, chain of lofty mountain. Lofty means the highest mountains that is found in those areas, that is the lofty mountain. Now what else the Himalaya work as? So Himalaya separate the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau. So basically Himalaya work as a separation or division from the Tibetan plateau to the Indian subcontinent. And the rest of the work of Himalaya is like providing the safeguard from the invasion of the northern countries, as well as it also provides various amount of forest resources, various kind of fruit, various kind of medicinal plants. So this is the uses of mountain and Himalayan ranges. Now move to the next. Mountain range run from northwest to east and it forms the shape of arc. Basically the length, the stretch of the mountain range is about 2400. So basically the 2400 kilometer that is covered by the mountain range, it forms the arc shape. And next, that is Himalayan consists the parallel mountain ranges. So what are these parallel ranges? The Shivalik, the lower Himalaya or the Himachal, the Great Himalaya or the Himadri. So these are the three parallel regions that is found in the Himalayan region. So why do we have studied these things? Because these Himalayas provide the water to the river. How? Let us see. The Great Himalaya or the Himadri it is covered with the snow, and when snow melts, it provides the water to the rivers. So there are three water system or river system that we get from the Himadri, that is Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. So they are also known as perennial rivers. So why they are called as perennial river? It is because these rivers get water throughout the year because of the melting of the snow that is found in the Great Himalaya. So, due to the procedure of weathering and erosion that is done by rivers, the huge quantity of fertile alluvium are continuously carried down into the plain from these mountains. So basically, river, it work as a weathering material or erosion material. So after eroding lot of alluvium, silt, gravel from the mountain, they started settling all those debris on the plain areas and makes the areas fertile. So why this we have started with the Himalayan upland, and what is the relation to the history that we'll see in the next slide. Like I told you that the rivers work as a eroded material, and it started eroding and started settling down to the plain areas. So because of that, the plain areas are formed. So we have to see about the northern plains or the Indo-Gangetic plain. Because of the deposition work or the erosion work of the river, those areas were formed. So the alluvial plain of the northern plain appear on the map like a huge arc that extends about 3200 km. It's 3200 km from the mouth of the Indus River up to the mouth of Ganga. Means that starting point of the Indus River to the ending point of the Ganga. Thus, this whole area is considered as a northern plains or the Indo-Gangetic plain. Why? It is Indo-Gangetic because Indo means Indus and Gangetic means Ganga. So the area which is drained by Indus and Ganga, that area is known as Indo-Gangetic plain. Now, the soil cover in this plain rich and fertile, and water is found in the plenty of amount. So basically, when they erode all those material from the mountain, they started settling down in the plain areas that provide the rich and fertile soil, as well as these rivers provide the water. So already the soil is fertile, the water is sufficient, so this makes a favorable climate for the growing of the crops. So what kind of crops were grown in these areas, like wheat, paddy, barley, millets, maize. So a lot of grains were there that were grown in these areas. So the Ganga plain means the area which is drained by the Ganga river. It was sustained and nurtured city life and state, society and imperial rule from the first millennium BCE. Means millennium means 1000. Means from the 1000 BCE, the Ganga plain or the Ganga basin, the area which is spread by the Ganga river, that area was inhabited from that day to till date. It worked as a city. It also worked as an Indian imperial rule, means the kingdom. Basically, it served as a kingdoms. So Ganga and its basin where the people were living from the more than 3000 years. So this provide the sufficient evidence of the people, those who are living near the Ganga area. And in class 6 we have read about the Indus Valley civilization. So what was the Indus Valley civilization? The civilization which was established on the basins of the Indus and its tributary rivers. That area is known as Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan Valley civilization. Harappan civilization basically. So that is also found near about 4 to 5000 year old. So this was also shows that these areas were inhabited from the past time. So that is the relation of mountain to the plain areas, because from the mountain only the river erode and the river form the northern plains. So this was the relation basically. Now there is a map of India, there I will show you the ranges of mountain, the Himalayan ranges basically. There you can see the different ranges on the map of India, the Shivalik, the Himachal or Himadri. Now with the help of this map I will explain the next topics also. Let us see. The northern plains and the peninsula India are separated by the large intermediate zone that is called the central India. So basically central India is what? The area which is covered by northern plain and some part of the Indian peninsula, that is the central India basically. So the central India is extent from Gujarat to the Odisha, or its length is stretch about 1600 kilometers. The area total that is about approximately it's about 1600 kilometers from Gujarat to the western Odisha. And here Aravalli Hills in the Rajasthan separate the Indus plain from the peninsula. So there Aravalli Hills provide the its work as a divider that divide the Indus plain with the peninsula. Let us see what are the areas which is known as most of the area, that is intermediate zone or central India, that is the area in the Vindh and Satpura range and the Chota Nagpur Plateau that covering the portion of the Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. Now look at the map. There you can see that there is Aravalli ranges in Rajasthan and Indus and its tributary rivers in the Pakistan. Now there you can also see the Deccan area below the Satpura range and near the Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, there this area. So this Aravalli range provide the division between Indus plain and the Deccan areas or the peninsular areas basically. So this is the division, and that I explained that the central India, the area that is Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Odisha, these area is come under the central India. So these area is covered with the basically two plateaus, that is central highland or the Chota Nagpur Plateau. These areas covered with that. Now we have to see also about the Deccan areas. So these Deccan areas that you can see in the map, the Deccan areas is near about the Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and rest of the areas that you are seeing. The lighter dark brown part, that is the Deccan areas. Let us go with what it is given here. So Deccan Plateau is extend from the Vindh in the north to the southern limits of the Karnataka. So this area is about that shows the Deccan Plateau area. There is two rivers, that is Narmada and Tapi, that flow towards the west in the Arabian Sea. So this is the only two rivers that flows only in the Arabian Sea. Rest of the rivers are drained in the Bay of Bengal. So the Deccan area, the Deccan Plateau area is covered with the black soil. So the area like Maharashtra and its the state that is just neighboring state of the Maharashtra, those areas are rich in the black soil. That is why this soil produces a good amount of crops like sugarcane, cotton, millets, peanuts, oilseeds and variety of the crops. So these crops were produced in the Deccan Plateau areas or the black soil areas basically. So this is the reason why the early farming cultures in Chalcolithic in the western central India emerged here. So this was the reason that the good amount of black soil that is found in those areas, and it was rich for the growth of the several crops. That is why people were settled down in the past time also. So this provides us the example or the evidence that this area was inhabited by the past people. So that is why the Deccan Plateau is also it also give as a evidence for the past. Now there, till that we have studied in the last slides that the area is divided into four sub-regions. So let us see what were the reason. Let us start with the first, the land of Rajput. So means the area where the Rajputs lived, that is the Udaipur and Jaipur. So these are the area where basically Rajasthan areas where the Rajputs were living. Now moving to the Malwa Plateau. So Malwa Plateau is where it is found near the Ujjain, near the Madhya Pradesh area. So it was earlier known as Avanti, that was also inhabited by the people in ancient time. Vidarbh or the sub-region around the Nagpur. So Nagpur and its area, the surround area, which is found in the now present day Maharashtra near the Madhya Pradesh. So that area was known as Vidarbh in the earlier time. It was also inhabited by the people. Now Chhattisgarh plain. So Chhattisgarh plain and the eastern Madhya Pradesh area, that was known as Dakshin Koshal in the ancient time of India. So basically these areas were inhabited by the people, and these areas provide the sufficient amount of evidence that in the past people were living in these areas, and also they done a lot of activities like farming, and people were settling down there. So these activities help us to know their activities, and the soil or the climatic condition help us to give the sufficient evidence that the people were living in those areas. Now Peninsula Plateau. Let me begin with the peninsula. So what is peninsula? Though you have studied in class 6 also, let me explain. So peninsula is what? It is a piece of land which is surrounded by water on three sides of the land surface. So basically these are, the Indian peninsula is also surrounded by three sides of water. Like from the east side it is Bay of Bengal, from the west side it is Arabian Sea, and from the south it is Indian Ocean. So basically the Indian peninsula is surrounded by the water by three sides. Here the Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. The Ghats, the highlands which were found in the western area, that is the Western Ghat. The highland that is found in the eastern area, that is known as Eastern Ghat. So Western Ghat is more higher than the Eastern Ghat. So there is a slope from the Western Ghat to the Eastern Ghat. So because of slope, the rivers which are found in these areas are drained into the Bay of Bengal. So there are four major rivers that is found in the Peninsula Plateau, that are Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. So these rivers basically form the alluvial plain, and that help for the habitation for the people in those areas. So these rivers not only present in this era, it was present in the medieval or the ancient era also. So people were living in these areas because of the rivers basically. So rivers provide the alluvial plain, and because of it people were started living in those areas. That also provide the sufficient amount of evidence that people were living in these areas as well. So basically the delta which is formed by these rivers, that gives us the evidence. So like any other country of the world, and the course of Indian history that has largely been shaped by the geographical features of India. So I'm giving you some of the example, like which areas were prosper in the ancient time or in the medieval time, like Ganga Yamuna Doab, the middle Ganga Valley, the Malwa northern Deccan area, the Andhra, the Kalinga, that is the coastal Orissa, and Tamil areas or Tamil plains. That areas were the reason, that areas where the people were settled in the ancient time as well as the medieval time. But smaller areas like Konkan, Kannada, Chhattisgarh, so these areas are there where the less amount of people were living because of the uninhabitable areas. So very few people were found. People were living in these areas. Now, let us see the changes that have affected the life of the people during the ancient time as well as medieval time. Let us see. So, at the most period of its history, India, though a cultural unit, but was torn by internecine war. Means that internecine war means civil war. Means the kings, those who were living in the same areas, they fought with each other, and due to that, many people were killed. Many people were affected through it, as well as famine, flood, plague. So these kind of epidemics were occurred in those areas, and millions people were killed. Also, people like those who are living in those areas, they were affected by some of the epidemics that I had explained, like flood, famine, plague. So because of it, many people were killed. Unlike Egypt, Mesopotamia and Greece, so the tradition of India have been preserved without the break to the present day. So in the past time, like Egypt, Mesopotamia and Greece were developed civilization, and India as well, but their civilization were vanished, or we can say it was not in use. But Indian civilization that we have enjoyed, that was followed in the past time, that was still followed by us. So this is the reason that India and China is still the continuous cultural, following that continuous tradition that were followed by our ancestors. So now this is the only two nations like China and India. In the past, that civilization, like the hymns that we are used to chant in the past, still we are chanting the the tradition that was followed by our ancestors, that the tradition we are following. So this shows that we have still continued to our past, and this provides information regarding the past. Now let us move to the next topic. So the term that is used to describe the Indian subcontinent. Let me explain that throughout its history, the Indian subcontinent has been known by the varied names, different names basically. So during ancient time, it was referred by such names as a Bharatvarsh, Jambudvip. So let us see why they were known as Bharatvarsh or Jambudvip and other names. So the Vishnu Puran says that in the country that lying north to the ocean and south to the Himadri, that is the Himalaya, is called the Bharatvarsh. So which ocean they are talking about? They are talking about the Indian Ocean. So north of the Indian Ocean and the south of the Himadri, that is Himalaya, that area is known as Bharatvarsh. So this area is also, this name is also mentioned in the Rig Vedas, the rest of the four Vedas. In one of them is Rig Ved, that is there also the Bharatvarsh is mentioned. And South Asia was called Jambudvip, or the land of the wood apple tree. Wood apple tree means the fruit that is covered, the outer surface is covered with the hardwood, that in the Hindi we used to call it bale. So this tree is found in that area. It is that area is known as Jambudvip, and this evidence is found in Purans that we have studied, that we know that there are 18 Purans, and Buddhist text that is written by the Buddhist people, the followers of the Buddhism. So this Jambudvip is given the name by them only. The term Aryavrat, or the land of Aryans, means that the people where the Aryans live, that area is known as Aryavrat, and thus this name was given by the sage Patanjali. And Also, he explained that the area which is lying between the Himalaya and the Vindhya. So Vindhya ranges and Himalaya ranges. So that area comes under in it. That area is known as Aryavart. Yeah, the area where the Aryas were living. There is a Parsi sacred book, Jent Avesta. It says that the Indian continent, it was known as a Sapt Sindhu because it was considered that the land of 7 rivers. So that is why they give this name Sapt Sindhu. Also, the Greek people, means you have studied in classic the Alexander and many more people. So they used to pronounce Indian as Indoi. The people of Indus, they called as Indoi. So this was the name that is given by the Greek people. Now, you have heard the name of Hindustan. So how this Hindustan name was there? Let us see. The river Indus or Sindhu and its 5 tributaries like Ravi, Satluj, Beas, Chenab, Jhelum. These areas were known as Western frontier. So the people, the invaders or the visitors, those who come from the western frontier like Iranian, Afghan, Turk, Mughals, so they came India and they do not call the Sindhu because in their language S is become H. Because of that they call Hindu instead of Sindhu. That is why they always pronounce the river name of Sindhu as Hindu. The name Hindustan or the land of river Hindu came from the term Hindu only. So it was from the river Hindu or Indus that the people living on the eastern side of the river came to be known as Hindus in the medieval period. So the invaders, those who came from the various western frontiers, so they do not pronounce Sindhu, they pronounce Hindu, and the people, those who are living in the region of the Hindu river or Sindhu river, they were called as a Hindu or Hindustan. The term Hind and Hindustan were used in the both Persian and Arabic language after the Islamic conquest in 11th century. So the rulers of Delhi Sultanate and Mughals called their Indian empire by the name of Hindustan. So which area they called as Hindustan? Only the areas which comes under the Himalayan ranges and Vindhya ranges. Also the areas which comes under the Indus up to the Brahmaputra region. So these areas were known as the Hindustan. Though the name of Hindustan continued to be popular throughout the medieval period, the area which was covered by this name varied widely. Means it has changed from time to time because of its name. The invaders, those who came from the western frontier, they only used to call the Hindustan only the places that comes under the Himalayan mountain up to the Vindhya range from Indus to Brahmaputra. But time to time it has changed, and nowadays we call from the Himalayan to the southern part of India, that is the Chennai or Kanyakumari, that up to that area is known as the Hindustan. Now this chapter is over. I hope you all will understand. You all are able to understand. If you have any queries regarding it, you can question in comments, and I will ask you to prepare some of the notes that help you to learn the topics and the chapter as well. Thank you. Have a nice